Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Betit. Welcome to our first Shootout Filmmaking event of 2021. It's a scary time right now. We're still in the throes of a global pandemic. We're coming off a year in which many of us took to the streets after seeing shocking brutality against our Black sisters and brothers to say that, yes, Black lives matter. Anti-Asian violence and COVID-related scapegoating has rocketed to extreme levels across the country. We have seen little old ladies be stomped in the face and men be left unconscious on the subway while bystanders simply stood by, doing nothing except maybe making the next TikTok video of someone else's suffering. It's enough to make you want to scream, right? Or go hide under your bed for a very, very long time. But I'm hoping you'll do something else. I'm hoping you'll use your art, whether that be acting, writing, directing, editing, cinematography, musical composition, whatever it may be, to create change. Many of you have heard me speak about why representation on film is so critical before, so don't worry, I won't go into a long expose on it now. I'll simply remind you that entertainment media is the method by which we tell our story and show the world who we are. And you can use it through the Film Lab 72-hour shootout or by yourself to change the narrative, to change perceptions, to take control of the story. And the Film Lab can help connect you with the platforms and mentorships and community that can not just help you advance your own career and not just help you help others in your community, but can actually help advance us all collectively, regardless of our race, gender, sexuality, to use our art to effectuate positive social change, to achieve equality, to achieve parity. So take the power, use it wisely. And now I'm delighted to introduce this year's Shootout Coordinator, Shing Chung, who can tell you a bit more about what the Film Lab is and what the Shootout is. Shing?
Thank you, Jen. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our April 72-hour Shootout Filmmaking panel. I am Shing Chung, the 2021 72-hour Shootout Coordinator. The 72-hour Shootout is an annual global filmmaking competition run by the Film Lab. The Film Lab is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization dedicated to the creation and support of racial and gender parity in the entertainment media. The Shootout is a way we can help connect underrepresented filmmakers with network executives, film festivals, and TV exposure. Winners can get everything from a cash prize to a night out on the town in New York City to a screen test at a major network to a mentorship with a network executive. You don't have to be an experienced filmmaker. Think of this competition as your training ground and launching pad. We run a series of workshops between March and June to help you prepare for the shootout, like this one in April. Then the first Thursday of June, we announce the theme of the 2021 72-hour shootout competition at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. This is the theme on which all the films must be based. As soon as we announce it on our website and social media sites, the clock starts ticking and registered filmmakers have 72 hours to finish and submit films up to 5 minutes in length to us via WeTransfer or Vimeo. Tonight, I have a panel of award-winning Shootout alums, some of whom are competing again this year, to share their tips and tricks for success with you. We will first showcase interviews done by me with last year's Shootout winners who are also panel speakers at this event today. After that, all those of you who registered for Shootout or RSVP'd via Eventbrite should go to the Zoom link you were emailed to join us for the Q&A section, where you can ask questions about anything and everything you're about to see and hear, and any question you have for the shootout. Now, please enjoy a series of interview responses from the panelists at today's event about what it was like to make a film in 72 hours. Enjoy. Can you tell me what it was like to create, shoot, and edit a film in 72 hours?
What I did was, once I realized a general outline of what I want my story to be, I decided to write out kind of my script. And then I planned out, like, here's what I wanted the shot list to be. And then I planned out, this is what I'm going to do at this block of time. And then this is how long I'm going to give myself to film. And then I'm going to plan backwards so I didn't crunch and kill myself editing, trying to make it work. So I, for a living, I'm a production office coordinator here in New Mexico. And sometimes I'm a producer. So that those skill sets kind of came into play. And previous shootout experiences made me go, okay, I'm going to work backwards. I want to make this timeline not submitting exactly right at the deadline, which I may have gotten pretty close, and then just kind of work backwards on, like, I need this much time to edit, this much time to perform it and upload, ingest the product, and then keep working backwards from there. And so that's how I plan my stuff for the shootout, is kind of working backwards.
So, you know, I've worked typically, and because of this last minute production that I end up doing, I usually end up working myself, you know, and with like a camera person and a couple of actors, or, you know, whoever. And I'll just plow through the thought process. And I really try to lean on things that are very familiar to me. And that sort of helps me just create the story. And then, you know, whatever twists or kind of motivations you get from just the theme itself, then you try to, you know, I'll try to navigate towards that, towards the theme.
You know, I used to make films as, you know, a kid and as a high schooler growing up, but I kind of fell off of that as an adult. So, you know, I had kind of a prior experience of kind of just setting up a camera and doing things on my own, and I decided just to run with it and kind of go back to that childlike sensibility of play and not really worry about the outcome too much, and just try to get it done within the parameters and the chemistry and have fun with it.
Right.
That being said, it would have been nice to have people help me, you know. It's kind of interesting doing it on your own. You have total control, right? You can just do what. But I did miss the collaboration of just having some other thoughts and ideas, or some other people just to, you know, just even to help set up a camera and then check the focus, you know, and all that stuff.
So I wanted to, this is like the fourth time I think I've actually done AFL, and every time I try to throw in a whole new problem for me to solve. So when I did it in 2017, I just, before the theme was even announced, I was like, whatever it is, I want to go full on with makeup. So I did an entire short film that required as much like monster makeup as possible. So this year I was like, whatever it is, I want to just go full on with puppets. So I had the puppets already and everything was green screened. Obviously, because we were filming remote, I had to do every single puppet one at a time. So I just was like, threw up a green screen, got a bunch of puppets, dressed them different ways, and ran with it from there.
Can you share any advice for folks that are planning to participate in a shootout this year in terms of your preparation process before the shootout announcement of the theme on the June 3rd?
Okay, well, we should just do like a timeline thing. So months before that, so we decided right away, hey, let's hop on the early bird session.
Right. Yeah.
And again, our DP and CU and the two of us, we've already worked in other projects together, but again, never like for 3 days. So we're like, okay, you know what? Let's do a mock trial. Let's do like a mock trial of what to expect these 3 days.
Right.
So we actually asked the internet, give us a theme and a mystery item, just in our like inner circle of friends. In our circle of friends. And so our friends gave us a theme very randomly and a mystery object very randomly. Right. And the three of us came up with a concept within a couple of days. We didn't actually shoot it, but it was more of a preparation to see like, okay, this is how we're going to actually, this is the process we're going to actually take when the time of the shootout comes, and also just to determine roles as well. That was like maybe 2 months before that.
Wow.
2 months. Yeah, really identifying our strengths and like the process.
That's crazy.
And yeah, and that process really helped us out because we did see where our strengths were and how we work, you know, under these certain circumstances of you have to get this done within 72 hours. And so we wrote it, and I went half crazy then, you know, then I went full crazy the actual 72 hours. In a good way. Up until the doctor said it. And I was like, whoo. But it allowed us to, you know, feel that pressure of, all right, let's get this done. And we made sure to, you know, hold each other accountable and meet up at the time that we're supposed to meet up, because, you know, that's the same way it's going to be with the 72-hour shootout.
I figured out how to shoot on my phone. I got this sound device I'm going to share with everyone. I'm not sponsored. It's called the Ceramonic. And I just plug it into my iPhone and I can just laugh myself up anywhere.
Yeah.
And phone is my sound device. These are just some of the things, and I got myself a gimbal. And I went around my neighborhood trying to figure out how to use the gimbal. I was seriously looking crazy doing that.
Yeah.
And in terms of like story, I just was too afraid to write something without knowing about the theme. So I got actors who I was like, you guys are my set actors, you guys are my players. And I just was like, I'm gonna go hard on the story. But it came to me so quick because we were eating eggs.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the yolk and I was like, this is so like such a cool image to me.
Wow.
Yeah, this is, and I go off of things like if I think of pineapple, this is so weird. If I think of pineapple, I'll like write a story around it.
Yeah.
Use what I have. Don't try to think about like what I don't have. Like, oh my God, I don't have this and I don't have that. I was like, this is what I have and we're gonna go hard.
Yeah, I think the key thing is use your resources and know your resources well.
All of AAFL's seminars leading up to it were excellent, I thought, just because it gave us kind of insight into like what the like how to find people for a team. Let me see, preparing for it, I would just be like pick your friends. You know, I think this is like one of those situations where you got to pick your friends, and it's like not worth, in my opinion, going out of your way to like try and cast, you know, different people to that you have no idea what their, you know, track record is, or like even get like someone on the creative team, like a director or like a writer to do this. Just get your friends. It's so much easier. You already have your shorthand with each other, so you might as well just use that to your advantage to work faster and then like improve it along the way.
I edited the entire thing as an audio play first. So before I even touched the puppet, I had so the producers I worked with, they were both the stars of it, the voice actresses. One was in LA and another one was in another part of New York City, different than where I am. So we all got on you know, our phones, had our headphones in, and we're acting off each other. I was directing, you know, and they were acting off each other, recording their own audio and then sending me the files. So we did about 6 to 8 hours of just that. And then I spent that whole first night, I don't know if that was like the first or second night, whichever it was, I spent that whole night just editing the audio, including music, any sound effects. I had to imagine it in my head. Like, how do we get from this shot to this shot? Do I want like a sound, you know, do I want a bell sound? So I like found all those things. And then once that was locked in, I then shot all the puppets and just threw them on top of the audio and did the editing to match the sound. So that was a little crazy, but it wasn't, I guess the trick I did was I watched the waveform monitor. So I wasn't trying to memorize what they were saying and moving my hands. I was just watching the waveform monitor, and whenever it went up and down, I just opened my hand.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it that way, and it all kind of synced.
What did you gain from participating in the 72-hour shootout in terms of your craft of filmmaking and more?
A lot. Definitely. What's the biggest one that we learned? I think the one thing that I picked up from it was definitely my I think listening. Listening is definitely like the one that I've been working on for the longest time, whether I'm, you know, acting or directing or writing. It's just kind of like listening to other ideas and, you know, being open to whatever possibility that might lead to. Mm-hmm. You know, you sit around with your group of writers and your group of actors, and you can't really strong arm everybody in that position because you have only 72 hours to write. And
right.
To cut, 72 hours to shoot. and then you have to submit all the materials. So
Right.
when you're sitting around with everyone for those 72 hours, you got to be listening at all times, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to miss out on the possibility that that could be your award-winning idea, and you don't want to talk over that, you know.
Well, I submitting the film alone was already like, oh, I'm so good. I made it. I was so happy, so happy that I won. Then when I made the top 50, I was like, oh, I made it,
Yeah.
And then clearly when the announcements were made, I was like, I lost it. I was like, what? I talk about like another plot twist of 2020. But I think in that moment, or just like even coming out of it, I think it really what this whole thing really reaffirmed in me is the power of not just storytelling, but showing up as you are, and definitely the power of vulnerability. Because like when I look back at it, I'm like, dang, that is so like vulnerable, kind of like bordering on cringe, because, and it's funny because I just realized like actually yesterday that if something that you are creating doesn't feel some sort of like cringe to you, then I feel like you're not like pushing yourself enough out of your comfort zone to like,
Yeah.
So I'm super thankful for this. This short film has actually been kind of been screened, been part of other film festivals, which is a surprise for me. Also, like what you're saying, like that relatability was like, I didn't realize that, well, I should have known, but I also didn't, that like, well, a lot of people like this very thing that I felt so bad for, almost like, what many of us, we feel like when we're struggling, we feel like, there's some sort of shame that comes to like letting people know how you're actually feeling. So we tend to like kind of like keep it to ourselves, but in actuality, everyone is going through it, or enough people,
In this pandemic, we think like, okay, limits, but it really forced me to think more creatively than I thought. Because again, like Andy said, it was just one location. It was just three of us learning how to also social distance while shooting all of this.
Right. That was such a key element.
Learning how to like keep it simple, but there's always like, there's beauty in simplicity, What I got from it, again, was a great challenge. And also with some really cool people, meeting some really, really cool people. I can't emphasize that enough. I know that with the Film Lab, they're all about networking, networking with other filmmakers. And what I love about it is that since the shootout, I've met so many great people, and I didn't think I would be able to, because we are in a pandemic, and everything is online, it's virtual. But I was able to connect and do some projects with other filmmakers across the country.
That's crazy. From the shootout, from people you met.
Yeah. So it's not only tested me as an artist and brought out such a great creativity and learning more about film, but it's also brought me some really great friends that I could see like us collaborating in the future, hopefully in person.
Well, I always gain something from the shootout, and actually in all film experiences, even when I do stop motion by myself. But what I like about the limit of 3 days, it really shows you how you can be resourceful. I mean, that's not much time to make a short film. And so it's like, okay, how can I really pull this off? So when I really gain a lot from it, so when I go to other film projects, I'm like, well, I know how to do this in a time crunch. It actually does translate to other film productions that I'm doing. Like, I know how to do it like this. So it helps me learn to train my brain to problem solve quickly and to plan quickly and to execute quickly.
I think the biggest thing was to stop doubting myself, because I think as actors, as artists, as filmmakers, we always have that little bit of self-doubt,
Right.
Like, can we do this? Are we good enough to do this? When we got the theme and all that stuff, I thought, oh, I can't do this. And I almost didn't do the project. Because it's like, oh, if I do it and it turns out bad, then it's going to be terrible and all this stuff. But then for me, what I learned is like, who cares? Just do it,
Yeah.
As long as you're trying to say something and you feel strongly about the project, you should just do it. Because that in itself will be rewarding to complete something,
I'm just going to add that for aspiring, the filmmakers and people who want to do this, it adds new stuff to your reel, right? Like for me, it's a chance to be more varied, right? Instead of having all live action, it's like now I have live action, a little bit of puppetry. Or before I did the one in 2017 with the monster makeup, I didn't have any special effects type makeup or anything that wasn't human looking, and now when you edit your director's reel, or for the actors with editing their acting reel, you actually have something different to include.
Right.
And I like that about this.
Hi, welcome back. It's still me, your coordinator, Shing Chung. If you enjoyed watching any of the filmmakers respond to my questions about what it was like to film in 72 hours, please watch their film. And their films are on our YouTube channel. It is Asian American Film Lab, and it's under the folder 2020 72-Hour Shootout. We have every single films from last year, as well as a video of top 10 films from last year. Please go watch those films if you like any of the filmmakers just now. And yeah, I'll see you on the live Q&A. Cheers.